From the Wisconsin Taxpayers Alliance, Wednesday, September 14th, President Todd Berry. 3, 2, 1. Mr. Berry, the 2011-13 state budget made many changes in many programs. What are the changes in transportation?
For the first time, the state will earmark a small percentage of its general fund revenue, sales taxes and income taxes, for the transportation fund. That's never been done in the state. Some people are very nervous about earmarking a particular tax for a particular purpose if the state is facing financial difficulties.
Is the state budgeting enough to maintain its roads?
Our gas tax and our vehicle and driver's license fees are relatively high compared to other states. Of course, we don't have toll roads. Overall, though, the revenues that are paying for transportation, gas taxes and fees, don't really grow. Vehicle miles traveled may be going up, but cars are getting better mileage, so the state doesn't see a lot of new gas tax revenue. And the population in this state is not growing the way it once did, so various registration fees don't have a lot of strength in future growth either. So a lot of people that look at this area suggest that if the state had done nothing in this state budget, we would have seen over time a gap between what we wanted to do in terms of road building and maintenance and the revenue that was available. And that probably will be particularly true with federal money for state transportation budgets, looking at a hit in the months to come.
So what's going to happen if the state doesn't have that federal money?
The state will have to decide whether it wants to generate more revenues from existing sources. They might have to increase a fee or a tax or something, or they'll have to make a decision to scale back a little bit to recognize the fact that the federal government doesn't have the kind of money it once did to aid states in their transportation efforts.
What impact does Wisconsin's strategy of borrowing to fund roads have on the long term?
With the state having budget problems over the last 5 to 10 years, it effectively took money from transportation and the transportation fund to pay for other programs. And debt service to pay off that borrowing has increased quite dramatically. It's the fastest growing source of revenue, not taxes, not fees, but borrowing proceeds. And one effect that is having is the debt service is becoming a much larger part of the total transportation spending program. In other words, before we can build or maintain roads or provide aids to local governments or fund mass transit, an increasing share of the transportation budget is simply having to go to pay off bonds from past budget games that we played. Borrowing for roads is bad, simply put, in that it's crowding out other expenditures that we could make with the transportation budget. If you're having to pay more to service bonds, you're going to have less money to give to local governments, to repair roads and so forth. I'm not saying that borrowing for transportation and other infrastructure kinds of projects is bad. It makes sense. We borrow to buy a house. But if it gets out of hand, just like a homeowner can't afford the mortgage payment, the transportation budget can be under some pressure.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. That's Todd Berry, President at the nonprofit, nonpartisan Wisconsin Taxpayers Alliance. For more information about transportation in Wisconsin, go to www.wistax.org. That's www.wistax.org.